Students, welcome to the new session of Module 3 Arrays and Strings from C Programming for Problem Solving. This is Shilpa Shetty, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Science and Engineering, AJIET, Mangalore. So we have already finished few sessions from this module where we have discussed what are arrays, what are one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, how to store and retrieve elements from the arrays, and we have also discussed few searching techniques and sorting techniques. We have linear search, binary search, bubble sort, selection sort, etc. Also we have discussed some concepts about two-dimensional array. So in this session we will be discussing strings. So the contents that are covered in this session would be string fundamentals, string input and output, string processing. Also we will be discussing some library function that are available to us. So now let us begin the session. The first topic would be character arrays and strings. So here we will see what do you mean by strings. So you all know that string is a collection of characters. A group of characters is called as a string, and when you say string, always a string will end with a special character called as null character. For example, if you consider your college name, that is AJIET, so it's a string because there are more than one character, so it's a string, and this string when you store in memory it should end with the null character. Null character is represented by \0. So a string is a group of characters enclosed inside double quotes. A string is stored as an array of characters terminated by end of string symbolic constant named null. So we have already discussed arrays, and especially one-dimensional array. An array is nothing but a sequence of elements of same type and stored in stored in consecutive memory location and accessed by the same name. So if you see the topic here, it is given as character arrays and strings. So but both character array and string mean the same. String is a character array because collection of character is a string. And when you represent a string, you have to write it within double quote. So you all know that characters are represented inside single quote, whereas string is represented inside double quote. So if you have a single character, for example say x, if you write x within single quote, then it is character. If you write x within double quote, then it is a string. The length of the string, the number of characters stored in the string up to null character but not including the null character, is the length of the string. So in AJIET, I told you there are 5 characters and it ends with a null character. So the length of the string AJIET is 5 because it just includes the actual characters and it does not include the count of the null character. So now let us discuss how to declare a string. So you already know how to declare an array, a one-dimensional array, and I told you string is a collection of character, or it's a character array. So how you declare a one-dimensional array? In the same way we declare a string. The only thing is the data type has to be character. So size of the string should always be number of characters plus 1 because string should end up with null character. So when you declare array, you need to specify the size of the array, but when you declare a string, the size of the array that you specify should be 1 greater than the actual size, because apart from the actual string you are going to store a null character at the end. So if you are storing AJIET, so when you declare it, you have to take the size as 6 because 5 letters in AJIET plus 1 null character, which makes up to 6. So the syntax is character, string name of size. So character is the data type there, string name is the name of this string, and within square bracket you have to mention the size. So size should be 1 greater than the actual size. So let us take an example here, character name of 21. So name is a string here which can store at the max 20 characters. So when you have written 21, it means it is one character for the null character, or one location for the null character, and the remaining are for the string. So at the max you can store a string of 20 characters. The next topic would be initialization. So we have already discussed initialization with respect to one-dimensional array and a two-dimensional array. To just quickly recall, so we know that arrays can be initialized in either runtime or during the compile time. So the same approach is followed here. Here strings can also be initialized during the compile time or during the runtime. So when I say compile time, it means you're initializing the string. Initializing is nothing but giving value to the string. Okay. When you say compile time, it means you're giving value to the string when you write the program. In very simple words, just to make you understand. When you say runtime initialization, it is when you run the program, you will give the value. So that is runtime initialization. So first let us see a few techniques here. In this slide you can see that there are 3 techniques being given. So these are the techniques followed during compile time initialization. So let us consider the first one. Character first of 10 equal to TABLE, null character, and these characters are separated by commas and written inside braces. So if you observe TABLE, these are enclosed within single quotes because you are writing the single characters of the string here, and characters have to be enclosed within single quotes. So this type of initialization treats string as an array of character and assigns value to individual position. So a null character should be added at the end. Let us go to the second one. Character second of 10 is equal to table. So if you observe the first and the second one, in the first one you have written each individual character separately, whereas in the second one you have mentioned all the characters of the string together. So in the second one, when you mention all the characters of the string together, you have to enclose within double quote, and you need not place the null character. Compiler will automatically place the null character. So this type of initialization initialize string as a unit, and null character is automatically added by the compiler. So now let us look at one more way of initializing the string, that is character second square brackets equal to table. So the only difference between the second one and the third one is that in the third one you have not mentioned the size. So what happens here is, when you do not mention the size, compiler will see how many characters are there in the string, and based on that it will determine the size of the array. So now in the string second, we see that there are 5 characters, TABLE. So compiler will assume that this size of arrays, that is size of string second, is 6. 5 plus 1 for null character. But the values that is stored in both second or in the third, they are identical. Both will store the value table. So this is one example where it is just showing how the string is represented in memory. So it's an array, and arrays have indices. So we have character str of 6 is equal to AJIET. So the index starts from 0. So the indices will be 0 to 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And in each index starting from the first character, values are stored one after the other. So in the 0th index we have A, in the first index we have J, in the second index we have I likewise, and in the 5th index we have the null character. So the addresses, look at the addresses there. So it is 1020, 1021, 1022. It's continuous. That means each location is occupying only 1 byte. That is because string is a character array. Each string is stored in terms of characters, and we know that each character occupies only 1 byte. That's why the array locations are continuous there, 1020, 1021, because single character occupies only 1 byte. Okay, so that was about compile time initialization. Now let us discuss the concepts related to runtime initialization. So we already know that runtime initialization is nothing but giving the value to the string when you run the program. So here there are two ways how you can give the values to the string or read the values from the string. So that is, first one is using scanf and printf function, and the second category of function belongs to getters and putters. So altogether the functions that can be used with respect to strings are getters, scanf, get character, get ch. These functions are used to read the input string. Also putters, printf and put character, these functions are used to display the string or to print the string, or you can say that just to get the string and print them. So in the first four, out of the first four, the last two, that is get character and get ch, basically are used with respect to single characters. Similarly, put character is also used with a single character. So now let us discuss scanf and printf functions in detail. So using scanf, we can read the string as shown in the example, that is character S1 of 20. That is the declaration. We have declared a string called S1 whose size is 20, or there are 19. We can store up to 19 characters in S1. Scanf %s S1. So that is how you can get the string. Whatever the user types, that can be accessed by writing the scanf function. So that is %s is nothing but the format specifier for string, and S1 is the location where you would like to store the value. So the important thing to note here is there is no ampersand in front of the variable name. So the string name is S1. So in scanf you have not placed any ampersand. But except string, if you are using any other data type, we need to place a ampersand just before the name of the variable in which you want to store the value. That is one thing. The other important thing is when you use a scanf function for reading the string, scanf function can read only one single word, one word. So once it finds a white space, it will think that it is end of the input and that the remaining part will not be treated as part of the input. For example, if the input string is good morning, so good space morning, that is how it should be written. So if you are reading this string with the scanf, then only good will be the part of the string, because immediately after good there is a space, so the compiler will treat it as end of the input. So morning will not be accepted here. So next let us see the printf function. So printf function is used to print all characters up to the null character, but not using the null character. So basically it is used to print the actual characters of the string. So if the string is AJIAT, when you use the printf statement and try to print the string, it is going to print only AJIAT but not the null character that is attached with the string. So an example is like this: printf %s S1. So %s is the format specifier, S1 is the name of the string, and we know that with respect to printf we will never use ampersand. So here is a simple program that illustrates how to read a string and display a string. It's a very simple program. So hash include stdio.h is the header file, void main, character S1 of 100. So S1 is a string whose size is 100. Then let's ask the user to enter the string. So printf enter the string, scanf %s S1. So the string is stored in the variable S1. So %s is the format specifier. So next, printf the entered string is. So let us now display the entered string. So we are just writing a code here. Printf %s S1. So now let us display the string S1 that is entered by us and read by the compiler through the scanf. Now let us print it by using the printf statement. So consider a sample output here. Enter a string. So let me assume that I have entered hello, then the output would be the entered string is hello. So next let us discuss two more functions, that is getters and putters. So this is the second category of functions that are available, getters and putters. So getters function can read a group of characters from keyboard including white space. That means in case of scanf you can read only one word, because once it encounters a white space it considers it as end of input. Whereas with getters you can read a string that can contain multiple words. That means if the string is good morning, then it can be read by using the getters function. So then how do you indicate the end of input? So once you press the enter key, the compiler will consider it as end of the input. So end of the input here is indicated by the hit of the enter key. Getters is capable of receiving only one string at a time, but the string can be a multi-word string. So the syntax of getters is getters within bracket you need to write the name of the string into which you want to store the value. So for example, getters s1. So when compiler encounters this statement, it will wait for the user to enter a string and that string gets stored in s1. The next function that we have is putters. So putters is used to display one string at a time. So if you have to display a string, then you can use the putters function. The syntax for putters is putters string, similar to getters, but instead you will write now putters. So the string is the name of the string in which the value has been stored. So example, putters s1. So when you write this, the value of string s1 will get displayed on the string on the screen. So what do you observe from here? So you observe that printf and scanf are similar to getters and putters, right? So printf, getters, that is to be clear, scanf and getters are used for the same purpose. Similarly, putters and printf are also used for the same purpose. The first two, scanf and getters, will read the string, whereas putters or printf will print the string. And only difference using scanf and getters is between scanf reads single word, whereas getters will read multiple words. So here is a very simple program. To read a string and display a string, so we are using the getters and putters function. So hash include stdio.h, void main, character s1 of 100. So s1 is a string with 100 characters. Printf, enter the string. So you are asking the user to enter a string, then you have to read the string. So you write getters of s1. So the string that is entered by user is stored in s1. Printf, the entered string is. So now we will display the entered string putters of s1. So this is actually very simple compared to printf or scanf, because you need not use any format specifier. So let us see two sample outputs here. In the first output, we have entered a single word. Enter the string, we have entered it as hello. So the output would be the entered string is hello. In the second output, we have entered a string that contains two words, good morning. So the displayed string is good morning. So what it means is getters can read a string with single word or more than one word. So hello is a single word, whereas good morning contains two words. So both are possible by using the getters function. But putters is similar to printf, it just displays the string, that is value that is stored in the string. So next we will have few more functions to discuss, that is get ch and get character. Now get ch and get character functions are used to read a single character, that is not a string. Not a string means string can read, getters can read multiple characters. right? Because it's a string, whereas getCH or getCharacter both are used to read single character. However, there is a difference between getCH and getCharacter function. So let us see what it is. getCH function reads single character directly without waiting for the user to hit the enter key and without echoing the keystroke. That means if you are using getCH function to read a character, then whatever value you enter, that will not be visible on the screen. That means usually whenever we type something on the keyboard, it will be visible on the monitor, right? The same here. If you are using the getCH function to read a value, then the value that you enter, for example, if the entered character is A, then that will not be visible on the monitor. That means it does not get echoed on the screen. Also, once you press A, you need not hit the enter key to indicate the end of input. The minute you enter any key, that means for the first time when you enter a key, that itself is considered as the value. So you don't have to hit enter key and tell that you have finished entering the value. So that is what it means. So it reads the character directly without waiting for the user to hit the enter key and without echoing the keystroke on the screen. The getCharacter function reads a single character, same as getCH, right? But it expects the user to hit the enter key and also echoes the keystroke. But in place of getCH, if you use getCharacter, then the character that is entered by the user will get displayed on the screen, and also you have to press the enter key to tell that you have finished giving the input. So that is the difference. And whenever you use getCH function in your program, you need to include a header file called as conio.hconio. That is basically it is consolidated input output, right? Because getCH function is present in conio.h header file. See, like printf and scanf functions are present in stdio.h. So basically in all the programs we will include the stdio.h header file. But if you are using getCH, it is defined in conio.h, so you need to include that header file. So now let us see programs to understand the working of getCH and getCharacter function. So the first program illustrates getCH function. So and hash include stdio.h, hash include conio.h, because getCH is defined there. Void main character C. See the difference. In the earlier programs we were declaring a string, but now getCH it reads a character, so it has to be a single character. So here the name of the character variable is C. Printf enter a character. So we are asking the user to enter a character. The character that is entered by the user has to be stored in the variable C. So we need to write C is equal to getCH. This is different from getTest. In getTest, if suppose C was a string, then if you are using getTest, you would write it as getTest of C. Whereas here it's not like that. It is C is equal to getCH. Then we can just print the character that is present in C. So printf you typed %C, C. The value of C gets displayed in place of %C, and %C is the format specifier for character. So let us see a sample output here. Enter a character. So the minute you see that, you will enter a character, but what do you observe in the output? Whatever you have entered is not echoed to the screen. It's not getting displayed, but the next line will get executed and it displays the entered character. Suppose that we have entered A, then the output would be you typed A. So in getCH, the entered character is not echoed on the screen. So the next function that you have is to illustrate the working of getCharacter. This is simple program is quite similar to the previous one. The thing is, you need not include conio.h header file. So there is only one header file, stdio.h, void main character C. Printf enter a character. This time instead of get ch we are writing get character. So c is equal to get character. Then let us print the value of c. So printf you typed %c, comma c. So if you look at the output here, output will be enter a character. If you type a, the a gets echoed on the screen. That's the difference. If you observe the previous output, so let me just show you the previous output. The character a that you typed was not getting echoed here. There is no character a, whereas in the current one the value that you have typed is available here, a, and then the output it displays as a. You have typed a. So now let us discuss some string handling and manipulation function. So there is a header file called stdio string.h, and this string.h provides the user with some functions. There are some built-in functions that are available in string.h header file. So let us discuss a few of them. And so the first function that we have is string length. So the way you use is length is equal to string length of string. So strlen, this function returns the length of the string. That means the number of characters present in the string excluding the null character is returned by string length function. The next function we have is string copy destination comma source. strcpy, it is string copy. So what happens here is this function takes two strings, says destination and source, and let us say, or we can take it as first string and the second string, and the second string is copied to the first string. That is, here the second string is source and the first string is destination. So source gets copied to destination. The third function that we have is string compare. So this function compares the two strings that is given as parameter and returns a value based on the comparison. So that is, if both the strings are equal, then it returns value, the output as 0. If the strings are not equal, it returns some other value, either positive or negative, depending on the strings. The next function that we have is strcat. Again, this function accepts two string, and this function is used to concatenate two string. What do you mean by concatenation? It is nothing but adding two strings. Basically, if you have written string cat of a comma b, assume a comma b are two strings, then the second string, that is b, will get appended to the end of a. Or for example, if you have string cat of string 1 comma string 2, or string cat of good comma morning, so the first string is good, second string is morning. So when you use this function, string 1, the first string becomes good morning because the second string gets appended to the end of the first string. The next function is string reverse of string. So this function is used to reverse a string. That is, the string is reverse, it is the last character will appear first, the first character will appear at the last, likewise. So now let us discuss these functions one by one. So the first function to discuss is string length function. So string length function returns the number of characters in the string excluding the null character. So the syntax is length is equal to string length of string. So string is a string whose length has to be found, that is the number of characters, and the value that is returned, that is count, it gets stored in the variable length. So here is a program to illustrate length of this, that illustrates how to find the length of the string using the strlen function. So the header files to be included is #include stdio.h and #include string.h, because strlen function is defined inside string.h, so you need to include that header file. Void main character str of 100. So str is the string here whose size is 100. Int length. So we know that length of a string cannot be character, it is always a number because it is the number of characters. So length shouldn't be declared as character, length has to be declared as an integer because it is a count. Then printf enters string. So let us read the string by using scanf. So we write scanf %str. Make a note, there is no ampersand here. So now let us find the length of str. So whatever string you have entered will get stored in str. So we need to find the length of str. So we write length is equal to, let us call the strlen function, that is string length function. So we write length is equal to string length of str. When I say string length, it is strlen of str. So the length of the string that you have entered, now it is stored in length, and then you can display the length of the string. So printf length of the string is %d length. So let us see a sample output here. Entered string, the string entered is hello. So the output would be length of the string is 5 characters because HELLO, there are 5 characters. So length of the string is 5. And make a note, it does not take into account of the null character. So now here is one more program. Again this program finds the length of a string but without using the built-in function. The built-in function available is strlen. So this function finds length of the string but it does not make use of the strlen. So let us see the program. So hash include stdio.h, hash include string.h, void main, character str of 100. So str is the string here. So then we have taken two variables here, I and count. Count is the variable used to store the length of the string that we calculate. So let us initialize it to 0, and I because we are using a loop in our program. So let us take it as I. Let us take the loop variable as I. So now next is printf enter string scanf %str. So we are writing a statement here asking the user to enter the string, then we will store the string in str. The string is read by using scanf function. So now we have to find the length of the string without using strlen. So what we do is we run a for loop starting from the beginning of the string till we get the null character. We simply keep finding, traversing from the first character of the string till the last character, and each time we get a character we increment the count. That is, if the input string is hello, so we will start with the first character. The first character is not a null character, so we will increment the count to 1. Next, coming to the next character, again it's a not a null character, so we will increment the count to 2. Likewise, when we reach O, it's not a null character, so we increment the count to 5. Next time we get the null character, so we will stop, and the latest value of count is 5, so that is the length of the string. So the for loop has to be written like this: for I is equal to 0, str of I not equal to null character. So str of I represents a single character from the string str. So while it is not equal to null character, so when the ith value is not equal to null character, we have to execute the for loops I plus plus count plus plus. So what happens? The program will traverse the string from the first character till the last character of the string. So once it finds the null character, it's going to stop, and each time it traverses, it increases the count by 1 count plus plus. So once this for loop terminates, so the for loop will terminate when it finds the null character. So then let us print the length of the string. So length of the string is equal to %d\n count. So here there is a sample input, output, enter string hello, length of the string is 5. The next function that we have is strcpy function. So this function is called as string copy function. So this function copies the contents of source string to the destination string. So the syntax is strcpy of destination comma source. So what happens here is the contents of the source string will get copied to destination. Suppose the source string is say noon, then when you execute string copy of destination comma source, so destination also will become noon. So let us see an example program here. Program to copy one string to another using built-in function string copy. So hash include stdio.h, hash include string.h, void main, character source of 100 and destination of 100. So these are the two strings that are available, source and destination. Printf enter string. So let us read the source string here. So scanf percentage s source. So remember there is no ampersand here because we are reading the string. So with respect to string we don't use ampersand in scanf. So strcpy of destination comma source. Now what happens, that source string gets copied to the destination string here. So once it is done, the result is stored in destination string. So now let us print the result. So printf copied string is %s\n of destination. So when you do this, the value that is present in destination, which is copy of source, will get printed. So I hope the program is clear. So here we are reading a string, then we are copying that string to another string by using strcpy function, and after that we are displaying the value of the new string, that is the destination string. So let us see our output here. Okay, so I think there's no output. So output is in the next program. So let us take one more program here. So program to copy one string to another string without using built-in function strcpy, and also count the number of characters copied. So this program is also finding the or also copying the one string to another string, but it is not using the string copy function. So we need to do it manually here. So hash include stdio.h, hash include string.h, void main. So let us declare two strings here, character source of 100 comma destination of 100. Then we are using a for loop in this program, so we are taking the loop variable as I, so int I. So now let us read the source string. So printf enter string, scanf %s source. So once the source string is read, now we need to copy the source string to the destination string. See, the loop concept that we are using, the logic that we are using is quite similar to the string length function. In string length function we have written a for loop that traverses the entire string, and each time it visits a location it increments the counter by 1. The count will be incremented by 1. So the same concept is used. We will traverse the string from the beginning till the end, and each time we visit a particular character we will copy it to the destination string. So for I is equal to 0, so here there is a small change, students kindly note. It should be source of I not equal to null character. So this is not required here. I less than or equal to is not required. So for I is equal to 0, source of I not equal to null character. So when you write string name of something not equal to null character, it simply means till you reach end of the string, because when you reach end of the string you will get null character, right? So it is not equal to null character means all the previous characters, so it is still the last character of the string. So I is equal to 0, source of I not equal to null character, that means from the beginning till the end of the string I plus plus, destination of I is equal to source of I. The character that is present in the ith location of source should be copied to the ith location of destination. So all the characters will get copied here. So once the characters are copied, you know that the for loop will terminate once it finds the null character in the source string. Now The destination string should also contain a null character at the end, and that will not get null character from the source string will not get copied to the destination string because you have written source of I not equal to null character. So you need to explicitly copy the null character to the destination string. So that's why we write destination of I is equal to null character. I is pointing to the last character, that is to the null character, because once it found the null character the loop stopped. So I is there now in the null character. So there for this destination string we are appending the null character. So we write destination of I is equal to null character. So once it is done we can print the number of that is we can print the copied string that is in destination. So we write printf copied string is %s \n destination. So after that printf the number of characters are, so how many, that is number of copied characters, how many times you have copied, that is nothing but length of the string, that is how many times, how many characters you have traversed, right? So that is present in variable I, because I has gone from 0 to the last character. So that itself is the number of copying. So let us display that. Number of copied characters are %d \n, I. So here is a sample output. Enter the string hello. Copied string is hello. So the important point to note here is, so here entered string hello, that gets stored in the source, whereas the copied string is getting displayed from the destination, that is from here, because source is copied to destination. And the number of characters copied are 5 because hello contains 5 characters, and that is displayed from I because I has gone from 0 to end of the string. The next function that we have is string cat function or strcat. So this function is used to join or concatenate two strings. So joining two strings is also called as concatenation. So string cat function is used to concatenate two strings together. That means you are adding the two strings in, that is how you say, but actually it is appending the second string to the end of the first string. So the function appends string 2 to the end of string 1. So the syntax is strcat of string 1, string 2. So if you write strcat of after, noon. So the first string is after and the second string is noon. Then noon will get appended to the end of after. So now after will, the string representing after will now be afternoon. So let us see a simple program here to use the string cat function by using the built-in string cat function. So hash include stdio.h string.h void main. So let us declare the two strings here and initialize them with the values. So character s1 of 10 equal to after, s2 of 10 is equal to noon. So the two strings here are s1, s2. So now we will write strcat of s1, s2. So when you write this, s2 will get appended to the end of s1. So what is s2? It is noon, and s1 is after. So it becomes afternoon. So then let us print the string now. Printf the concatenated string is %s \n s1. So the resultant string will be present in s1 here, and that. So we are printing that. So the output if of this program would be the concatenated string is afternoon. So noon gets appended to after and the result will be in S1. So you are displaying S1 here. So it prints it as afternoon. So the next program again will perform the string concatenation process, but this time without using the built-in function. So let us see the program. Hash include string.h, stdio.h, character str1 of 10, str2 of 10. So these two strings we have is str1 and str2 int ij. We need two for loops to run this program. So the two for loop variables are I and j. So now let us read both the strings. So enter the first string, get as str1, enter the second string, get as str2. Now I is equal to string length of str1. So now let us determine the string length of the first string. So that is nothing but I. Then so the next statement is for I is equal to 0, str1 of I not equal to null character I plus plus 1 plus plus do nothing. So now here if you consider these two statements both mean the same. So either you can use, this and this. I is equal to string length of str1, that and the next statement both are performing the same task. See what happens basically in this program is, first you need to find the location where the first string ends. For example, if the first string is after, so A, F, T, E, R, there are 5 characters, so the length of this string is 5. So if the length of the string is 5, then what is the character at the 5th index? So if there are 5 characters, the index will go from 0 to 4. So in 0 we will have A, and in the 4th index we will have R. So now we have to copy the second string, imagine it is known, to the 5th position. So that is at 5. But what is 5? 5 is nothing but the length of the string. So that is the reason why we find the length of the string. That is one way. That is, or the next statement is also the same. We will take I as 0 till str of I not equal to null character. So when this condition will be true, when the condition will be false, only when I value reaches 5, because 0 to 4 there are characters E, F, T, E, R, that is from 0 to 4, and at the 5th index there will not be any character, so the for loop will terminate. See, the for loop is not doing anything there, it will simply terminate. So next consider the next loop. So make it very clear, the first for loop is, the second for loop is not part of the first for loop. There is some indentation problem here, but one thing to observe is, note down is, either you can use I is equal to string length of str1 or the next for loop. So now let us go to the next for loop. So now we know where the first string ends. So now what we have to do is, the characters from the second string has to be copied one by one to the that is appended one by one to the end of the first string. So now we will write a for loop that traverses from the beginning till the end of the second string, that is your str2 string, because the second string, for example, if it is known, you have to copy N, O, O, N one by one, you have to copy to the end of, that is append to the end of after. So you need to write a for loop that traverses from beginning till the end of the second string. So we write for j is equal to 0, j less str of j not equal to null character, that means end of the second string I plus plus, str1 of I is str2 of j. So str1 of I, so I is in the 5th position, it is equal to str2 of j, j is 0. What is there at 0th position of str2? It is n. So n will get copied to the 5th position. After that I plus plus. So I will become, from 5 to I will become 6 now, and j plus plus j, which is 0, it will become 1 now. That means the first character from the first one, index 1, that is O, will get copied to the 6th position. So likewise it continues. So next second index value will get copied to the 8th, and the third index will get copied to the 9th. So likewise it executes. So you need to increment both I as well as j. J gets incremented in the for loop itself, but I has to be incremented explicitly. So that is, you have to move the pointers of both the string. So once you do that, once you place the second string in the first string, you need to insert a null character. Okay, so you write str1 of I is equal to null character. So that is end of str1 of I. So it is at the end of the string 1, so you should place a null character at the end of string 1. So once it is done, let us display the concatenated string. So string after concatenation is %s str1, that is string after concatenation is afternoon. So I hope this is clear. So first we will go to the end of the first string, then the characters from the second string will be copied one after the other to the end of the first string. So the next function that we have is strcmp function. So this function is used to compare these two strings and determine whether the strings are equal. So the two strings are compared character by character until there is a mismatch or end of one of the string is reached. So whichever occurs first, this occurs first. So that means, see, if you have to compare two strings, all the characters from the first string should appear in the same sequence in the second string. So we will compare character by character. Once you find a mismatch, then you will stop there. You will find that the strings are not equal. But if you have compared all the characters, that is till the last character, it means all the earlier characters were equal. So the strings are equal. So the syntax is result is equal to string compare string 1 comma string 2. So you should, this function string compare, it returns an integer value. So you take a variable called as result. It should be declared as integer. So result is equal to strcmp of string 1 comma string 2. Now the result can take any of these values. Either it can be equal to 0 or greater than 0 or less than 0. So when the result is equal to 0, it means that two strings are equal. For example, strcmp of after comma after, both are afters, so they are same. So the output would be 0. If result is greater than 0, it means the string 1 is greater than string 2. We'll see example in a short while. Similarly, if result is less than 0, it means string 1 is lesser than string 2. So this is very important. Equal is 0, indicated by 0. If first string is greater than the second string, then it is a positive value. If first string is less than the second string, then the answer would be a negative value. So here is one example. So what happens here is we have ABC company. First, if you look at this one, so here it is ABC company, here also it is ABC company. So character by character, that is A with A, B with B, C with C, space with C. So one by one is compared. So and after comparison, if you reach here, that is to the null character, it means both strings are equal, because any point, if at any point you find that the strings are not equal, then you would stop. So you will not reach till the null character. So in this case, the strings are equal, so the function would return the value as 0. So let us consider the second one. So the second example, where the first string is ABC company and the second string is ABC INC. So first 4 characters till the space are same, so the comparison will continue. But what about the next character? In the first string it is C and in the next string it is I, and if you take the ASCII value of the character, ASCII value of C is smaller than ASCII value of I, or in general ASCII value of I is greater. So in this case, the output printed will be second string is greater than the first string. So whenever we get a less negative value, when you will get negative value only if the ASCII value of the first string, first mismatch of the first string is lesser than that of the second string. So in that case you will get a negative value, because you are trying to delete a smaller greater number by a smaller number, so you will get a negative value. So in that case it means string 1 is lesser than string 2 or string 2 is greater than string 1. In the third example, we have ABC Corp and ABC company. So your ABC space CO till there the characters are same, so the for loop will continue as the loops will continue as it is. In the next one we have R and M, and we know that R's ASCII value is higher compared to N because R is placed after M in the alphabetical order. So in that case the output printed will be the string 1 is greater than string 2. So now let us use the string compare function to find whether two strings are equal. So hash include stdio.h string.h void main character str1 of 100 str2 of 100. So the strings are str1 and str2. So int result, so I told you this function returns a integer value, so we need to declare an integer int result. After that printf enter first string. So printf enter first string, so we are reading the first string, that is str1. Then printf enter second string, so scanf percentages str2, that is the second string. Str1 and str2 are read. So now we will compare the two strings, so we write result is equal to string compare of str1 comma str2, so that is strcmp of str1 comma str2. So next, as we discussed, if result is equal to 0, we come to the conclusion that strings are equal, so we will print the same. Or if result is greater than 0, that means the ASCII value of the first mismatch character is greater than the second one, so the first string is greater than the second string. Otherwise it obviously means that it should be a negative value, so either 0, positive or negative, right? So if it is a negative value, it means second strings mismatch character, first mismatch character has a greater ASCII value compared to the first one. So we come to the conclusion that string 2 is greater than string 1, or second string is greater than the first string. So here are the few outputs. So we have, let us consider the first one. Enter first string Raj, second string Taj. So you see that there is a mismatch in the first character itself, R and T, they are not same. So what happens now? But you know that T is placed after R in the alphabetical order. So obviously the ASCII value of T is greater than R. So if that is the case, the value returned is negative, right? So you will print that the second string is greater than the first string. Similarly, consider the next example. Enter the first string is Taj and the second string is Raj. So in this case, again the mismatch occurs at the first string itself, first character itself. But you know that T is alphabetically above R. So what happens? The result that is returned, that is Raj comma Taj, the result is greater than 0, so it will be a positive value. Actually the difference between the ASCII values will be returned here. So if it is because it's a positive value, it prints that first string is greater than the second string. In the third case, we have both the strings as Taj and we know they are equal, so the value 0 will be returned, so the output would be strings are equal. So the next function is again to compare the string, but without using the built-in function strcmp. So here what we do is we will just compare character by character of the first string with the second character. So whenever their characters match, we will compare the next character. That means we will switch to the next character likewise. So we will just go on comparing the character till the characters are equal. So once there is a mismatch, so see, once we find that the characters are not matching, we will stop our for loop, and then we will see the characters at that position, that is at the first mismatched position, and then we will compare their ASCII values, and then we will tell whether the strings are equal or greater or lesser. So now let us see the program here. Hash include stdio.h void main. So we will declare two strings here, str1, str2. So then int I, because we are using a loop here, so that's a loop variable. Printf, enter the first string, getS str1. So either you can use scanf or getS. Similarly, we will read the second string, that is str2. So now what we do is, let us take a variable called I and take it as initialize it to initialize it to 0. So we write I is equal to 0. Next, while str1 of I equal to str2 of I, that means the character from str1 of I of a particular position, from the ith position of str1, if it is equal to the character from ith position of str2 and str1 of I not equal to null character, that means till you have not reached end of the strings, we are assuming that the length of the strings are equal here. So in that case we will keep incrementing I, that means I plus plus. So that means initially I is equal to 0. So the character at the 0th index of str1 is compared with character of the 0th index of str2. str1 of I equal to str2. If they are same, then if you have not reached end of the string, we will increment I becomes 1 now. So again the first character is of str1 is compared with the first character of str2. So again then I gets incremented, I becomes 2. So likewise we continue. So whenever we find matching characters, we will simply keep incrementing. So when will the while loop stop? Whenever there is a mismatch, that means str1 is not equal to str2 of I. str1 of I, if it is not equal to str2 of I, that means the characters do not match, while will stop. Or str1 of I not equal to null character, not equal, if it is so, it will execute. So once it becomes null character, it means you have reached end of the string. So is there any point in continuing searching further? No. So you need to stop. So in either of these cases, that is either there is a mismatch or you have reached end of the string, then the value of I will be, you will stop the while loop. So at that time you need to compare the value of the characters at the ith index. So at I you have stopped, so that character you need to compare whether they are equal, whether they are greater, or whether one is less than the other. So we write, if str1 of I greater than str2 of I, print first string is greater than the second string. Else, if str1 of I is less than str2 of I, printf second string is greater than the first string. Otherwise it means str1 is equal to str2. So you print str1 equal to str2, or you can also print strings are equal. Students, try to understand the concept here. As long as the characters of the strings are same, we keep incrementing I. Once there is a mismatch, we will stop. That is one case. Otherwise, other case is when the strings are equal, we will keep on incrementing the value of I, because all the characters match. So when do we stop? When we reach the end of the string. So once the while loop stops, either because of any of the condition, we will compare the index of the ith character there. At I you have stopped, so we will compare the index. If I's values are same, that means the character at the I value are same, it means what? That is possible only when you reach the null character. So it means the strings are equal. Otherwise, if the ASCII value of the first character is greater than the ASCII value of the second one, we come to the conclusion that the first character string is greater. Otherwise, if the ASCII value of the first string is less than the ASCII value of the second one, that means if the second ASCII value is greater, then we will compare that. We will conclude that the second string is greater. So that is what is done in this program. So we have the sample outputs here. This is same as the previous one. So in the first case, there is a mismatch at the first instance itself, so I will not get incremented, so I will be at 0 here, right? Because in the first case itself there is a mismatch. str0 of I is r, str1 of 0 is r, and str2 of 0 is t. So there is a mismatch, so the while loop will not get executed. If it does not get executed, the I value will be 0. So we will compare the ASCII value of characters at 0. So that is r and 10. We know that t has a greater ASCII value compared to r. So we will write the second string is greater. Similarly, in the second case, t comes first and r comes later. ASCII value of t is greater, so we print first string is greater. Whereas in the third case, both are equal, so r and r, t and t gets compared, I will get incremented, a and a gets compared, they are same, so I get incremented, j and j gets compared, again they are same, so I gets incremented. At this point, the second condition will become false, because what is the second condition? str1 of I not equal to null character, but here it is equal to null character. After j there would be a null character, so because of that the loop will fail. And what is the value of I when it fails? It is 3. So if both are 3, so str1 of 3 is now null character, str2 of 3 is also null character, they are same, so the output would be the strings are equal. So those are the important functions of string. There are few more functions. So the next function that we have is string reverse. This is used to reverse a string. So the syntax is string reverse of string. So once you reverse a string, the original string will be stored in the reversed format. So let us see the program here. Hash include stdio.h, hash include string.h, void main, character str of 100. So enter the string scanf percentages str. So now the string is stored in str, whatever you have entered, then you will call the reverse function. So it is str reverse of str. str is the string, so you are calling reverse of str. So now the string what you have entered here in for str will get reverse. So then we will displace the reverse string. Reverse string is str. So this is a simple program. The value will get reversed in str itself. Suppose str was say hi, then it becomes EIH. HI will change to IH. So next, this program is again finding the length of the string, but without using the string. We are finding the reverse string and checking if it is palindrome without using the built-in function string reverse. So here we will include the header files and we will declare the two string str1 and str2. Then we will find declare other variables that are required. We will find the length of the string. Then that is we will take a variable called length. Then we need a variable called as result. Result it is used to check whether the string is palindrome or not. So there we will store something called as result, and we are using loops here, so we need two variables I and j. So then let us read the value of the string, that is scanf percentages str1. So once it is done, we will find the length of the string, that is length is equal to length of str1. So the length of str1 will get stored in the variable length. So now see, in order to find the reverse, let's assume that the original string is in str1, which has to be reversed and stored in str2. So this is what our assumption is, because we are not using the string reverse function. So what happens here is the last character of the first string, suppose the first string is AJIET, then the second string should be reverse of that, so it should be TEIJA, right? So what you have to do, first you should copy, you have to copy one by one characters from the first string to the second one. but in the reverse order. That means the last character T has to be copied to the first position, then the last but one character E has to be copied to the second position, then the next character has to be copied to the third position, likewise. I hope this is clear to you, students. See, if the string is, let me take a very small one, A and J, I, E, T. So first what happens, the last character has to be copied to str2, so T, then the next character, that is E, then the next one, that is I, then the next one, that is from the last, you're coming in the reverse order, J, then you will copy A. So this is the process. So this is how you will get the reversed count. So now to copy first the last character from the first string, you need to know the index of the last character. So that's why we are finding the length. So the length of this string is how much? 5. So if length of this string is 5, then the index of the last character will be 4. That is, last character is T and T's index will be 4. Because A 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters. So then what you should do, the character from the fourth index has to be copied to the beginning. So what do you mean? What is the first index? It is 0. I hope it is clear. Now imagine the index representing the first string is I, then the index representing the second string is J. Then what is the value of I initially? It should be 5. And the value of J is 0. That is, the fifth character, the fourth one, here I told you already, the last index is 4. The character from the fourth index has to be copied to the 0th. Next, character from the third one has to be copied to 1. Character from the second one has to be copied to second, likewise. So that's why once we find length of the string, we will take I as length minus 1, as explained here, 5 minus 1 equal to 4. Then after that we will take J as 0, that is, J is representing index of the second string, so let us take it as 0. Now while I greater than 0, so I is coming from I is moving from 4 till 0 because it is coming in this order, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So till the I value is greater than or equal to 0, what do we do? str2 of J is str1 of I. So where is I now? At 4. What is str1 of 4? If you take EJIT as example, then it is T. So T should be copied to str2 of J. J is 0, so str2 of 0. That means in the beginning T will get copied. Next, J++, because J is starting from 0, so it should get incremented, whereas I is starting from last, so it should get decremented. So now again str2 of J is equal to str1 of I. What is str1 of I? I got decremented. I is here now at 3. So J got incremented. So J, which was at 0, now it become 1. So str2 of 3 should get copied to J of 1. What is there at str2 of J? The last word, one character, that is E. E will be copied here. Again next time I will reduce, J will increase. So here it is, it will be the third character, that is I. Again it will get copied over here. So TEI. Again it will decrement. This J will increment. So the character there is J. J will come here. So likewise it continues till you reach the end. So once you copy the character from str1 to str2, you need to insert the null character. So in all the programs you have done, whenever you create a new string, you need to insert the null character. So once it is done, let us display the reverse string. Where is the reverse string? It is in str2. So it's clear here. The reverse string is this at str2. So let us display that string. So now we have to check whether the strings are equal. If the string, you know that if the strings are equal, then the value from string compare function should be equal to 0. That is, we have to check whether the strings are palindrome. What do you mean by palindrome? The string, original string as well as the reverse string has to be same. So that is string comparison between original and the reverse string. So that's why we are finding this one. So we will call result is equal to string compare of str1, str2. If result is 0, then only it means strings are equal, that is original string and the reverse string are equal. So we will print that it's a palindrome, otherwise we will print that it's not a palindrome. So the entered string here is wow, so the reverse string also will be wow, and it's a palindrome. So now let us briefly discuss few other functions that are associated with the string, that is string LWR, that is string lower. So the string converts the string into lowercase. So if the AJIET is written in uppercase, then it gets converted to lowercase. Then string UPR, that is string upper, this from lowercase will get changed to upper. So if AJIET is in lowercase, it gets converted to uppercase. Then the next function is string ncat of ncat. That is string cat is used to concatenate first string with the second string, whereas string ncat is used to copy only n characters from second string to the first string. For example, if the first string is after and the second string is noon, then if you write string ncat of after comma noon comma 1, then only one character of noon, that is n, will be copied to after. So that is, I hope this is clear. Okay, only certain number of characters from the second string will be copied to the first string. The next function is nCompare. So this is similar to the previous one, string compare function, but it does not compare the entire string. Only n number of characters will be compared. That is first n characters. The next one is string ncopy. So this is similar to string copy function, but then all the characters of the second string will not be, that is all the characters from the source string will not be copied to the destination. Only n number of characters will be copied. So here is an example that illustrates few concepts. So let us take str1 of 20 as hello, str2 of 20 is hello students, 3 is hello, and fourth one is empty. So D is equal to string compare of str1 string n compare of str1 str2 comma 5. So n compare, so 5 characters have to be compared from first string to first string and second string. Are the first 5 characters same? Yes, they are same. So the t value will be equal to 0. So it prints both strings are same. Next, put as str lower of str1. So what do you do here? str1, which is hello, h is in uppercase. So if you try to print now, it will become the lowercase. So h, if you see this h here, it is in lowercase. Next one. So after that we will compare the d value, that is the value written by nCompare. If it is equal to 0, then it means the strings are same. Then after that, so put a string lower. So the case will be changed here. Similarly, string upper, the case lowercase string, this characters will be converted to uppercase. N copy means n characters from str2 is copied to str4. What is str2? Hello students. What is the count given? 5. So the first 5 characters from hello students will be copied to str4. So str4 also is now hello. Next, so once this is done, we will display the values. So put as str4. Then if d is equal to 0, so that is initially, then it means strings are same. Again we are comparing here 2 times. str1 is compared with str2. Then put a string reverse of str2. So we will find the reverse of the second string here of str2. So just look at the output here. So even though str4 and str2 are different, but then the first few characters are same, that is first 5 characters, so the output would be both strings are same. And the last output is the reverse of the str2. str2 was hello students, now it becomes it's a new word. So next we have a program to count the number of vowels and consonants. It's a very simple program, and students, you all know what do you mean by vowels. The characters A, E, I, O, U from the set of alphabets are called as vowels. I repeat, A, E, I, O, U. And the other characters, remaining characters other than vowels, are called as consonants. So from this program you have to count the number of consonants and vowels from a given string. So for example, if the string is hello, then H, first character by character we will compare. First we will take H, and it is not equal to any of A, I, O, U, so it's a consonant, so increase consonant count by 1. Next we have E. E is a vowel, so increase vowel count by 1. So now both consonant and vowel are equal to 1. The next character is L, which is a consonant, so a consonant which was 1 now becomes 2. The next again it is L, consonant which was 2, now it will become 3. And the last one is O. So it's a vowel, and the vowel value was 1, so now it becomes 2. So that's how the program works. So one by one character we will compare, we will check whether it is a vowel, because vowel is a small collection. So we will check if it is a vowel. If it is so, we will increment vowel. Otherwise, we know that it's not a vowel, so it should be a consonant. So we will increment the consonant count. So let us see the program here. Hash include stdio.h void main character str of 100. So that is the declaration. Then we have one loop. So we are taking I. So I is equal to 0. Then we need to take count of vowels and consonants. So let us take two variables to keep the count. So vowels and consonants both should be initialized to 0. Then printf enter a string, get as str. So let us read the string here. So now, so while str of I not equal to null character, I told you whenever you compare the character from the array with null character, it means it is till you reach end of the string. So here it is till you reach end of the string str. If str of I is equal to A or E or I or O or U, or str of I is equal to again A, E, I, O, U in uppercase. What does that mean? If it is A, E, I, O, U, it means it is a vowel. So we will count the vowels. We will increment the vowel count. So vowel is which was 0, now it becomes 1. Similarly, otherwise, if it is not E, I, O, U, then it means it's a consonant. So we will increment the consonant count. Hope this is clear. So one by one character we will compare. We will check if it is vowel. If it is so, we will increment vowel count. Otherwise, we will increment the consonant count. So once you do that, next you have to go to the next character. So what is, you are using I to represent index. So now you need to write I plus plus. So if you have just compared the 0th character, now I becomes 1. So you will compare the ith character. So that is how this program works, and this will continue till you reach end of the string. So after that, you can display the number of vowels and consonants. So printf number of vowels is %d vowels and number of consonants is %d consonants. So next there is one program to read two strings S1 and S2 and compare whether they are equal or not. If they are not, join them together, then copy the contents of S1 to S3, print and find length of all the 3 strings. This is a very simple program because they have not mentioned whether you should use, like you shouldn't use built-in functions. So for all these tasks we have built-in functions, right? Reading strings, we can use scanf or getS. Compare if they are equal or not. So we need to use string compare. Then join them together. We have to concatenate strcat. Then copy. So we need to use strcpy. Then we need to find length of all the strings. So we have strlen. So the program is like this: hash include stdio.h, hash include string.h, void main. Declare. Let us take three strings here: s1, s2, and s3. So then few more variables are there. To find the length of the three strings, because it's given, print and find length of all the three strings. So we need three variables here: l1, l2, l3. And you know that string compare function returns your integer. So based on that you can decide whether the strings are equal or not. So we are taking to variable called length to store the length of the array or length of the string. So next, printf enter the two strings. So let us read the two values here: s1 comma s2. Then result is equal to string compare of s1 and s2. So string compare s1 I have given after unknown. So the strings are not equal. So if the results are not equal, you have to write that the strings are not equal. And then, so what is given in the question, you have to check whether it's equal or not. If they are not equal, join them together. So you got the result as 0, right? If you get the result as 0, then it means that the strings are equal. Otherwise it means that strings are not equal. So if the strings are not equal, so what does that mean? If the result is not equal to 0, then we print that strings are not equal. Then what is it according to the question you have to do? You have to then copy contents of s1 to s3. So how do you copy? We need to use strcpy function. So strcpy of s1 comma s2. So s2 is copied to s1. Otherwise, if the result is equal to 0, it means that the strings are equal. So we will print strings are equal. So once it is done, you need to copy the s1 to s3. So we use string copy of s3 comma s1. S1 should be copied to s3. So first s3 will come, then s1. Then we need to find length of all the strings. So this is ED, okay. Length of percentage S is percentage D. That is length of string s1 is, so for example, length of AJIET is 5. Length of high is 2. So likewise it gets printed for the three strings here, s1, s2 and s3. So that's all we have for this session. Thank you for watching.